Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast. Financial professionals, let's move forward together.
Well, hi everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and with me today is Justin Smith. Justin is the Chief Financial Officer of LeaseQuery. Justin provides leadership and oversight for capital allocation, financial management, operational efficiency, and investor relations. He brings nearly 20 years of experience and came to LeaseQuery in 2023 from Goldman Sachs, where he was a senior member of their technology investment banking team. At Goldman, Justin advised CEOs, CFOs, and boards on transactions including IPOs, M&A, and capital raises. Additionally, Justin served on the investment selection committee of Engage Ventures, a leading VC firm based in Atlanta. Justin holds a BA from Johns Hopkins and an MBA from the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, Justin Smith.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it.
Well, first off, Justin, why do you do what you do?
Look, it's a great question. Prior to coming to LeaseQuery, I spent nearly a decade at Goldman Sachs, working with CEOs and CFOs and companies that many of which were leaders within the sectors and verticals that they operated. And the role that I played at Goldman was often as a partner, most specifically to the CFO. So I've worked with CFOs for a long period of time, many of whom have come to become really good friends of mine, who've been mentors of mine. And so I've aspired to the role, and there's a lot of individuals, like I said, who've been in that role that I've had the opportunity to, really understand what it was that drove them. And for me, I think that the role of the CFO has really evolved in recent years. A decade plus ago, CFOs were primarily involved with ensuring that there's enough cash in the bank, providing reporting, and a basic level of analytics. And what the role has evolved into today is a true partner to the CEO, a partner to the board, primary conduit to investors, whether there's public company investors or private company investors. And I really think about CFO today is a strategist. It's a person who's matching together the resources that a company has, the prospects that a company has, and helping the CEO and the board and others make decisions around where to place bets, where to make investments, and where to ultimately drive shareholder value. And so I think with the more active operational role that has opened up with the modern CFO, it's just an incredibly exciting role to be in. So for me, it was when I was picking my head up about 2 years ago when I was at Goldman, thinking through what's next in my career, it was a pretty obvious decision to want to move to this role. I spent about a year trying to find the right combination of scale, company, sector, and just absolutely thrilled to find my way to LeaseQuery last year.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what are some of the signs that you think the economic environment is ripe for M&A to occur.
Yeah, look, it's a great question. I mean, where we are right now, we're coming out of a period of probably 18 months where we've seen some of the lowest M&A, on record. And so companies have been really focused on organic growth and driving profitability, which I think in the long term is the right thing and the healthy thing for companies to do. But if history is a teacher, I think, one of the lessons there is that the best companies grow through a combination of acquisitions as well as organic growth. And in order for acquisitions to occur, I think there's two core elements at a high level that have to be present. Number one, you have to have a market dynamic to where sellers are open to selling. And that may seem like it's just an overly basic, no-brainer, but with multiples where they've been, over the last 18 to 24 months, a lot of sellers have effectively been holding their breath for the market to rebound, to come back to a valuation level that seems a bit more appealing. I don't think that, where we are heading into 2024, that we're going to be getting back to 2021 multiples at any point in time, here soon, by the way, if ever, depending on, where baseline rates are. But I think we're getting back to a more normalized period where people are realizing that they need to start making decisions based on the horizon that's in front of them, as opposed to, hoping that the market gets back to, 2-decade or 3-decade highs. It feels like we're starting to see early signs of, at least from talks and discussions that we're having internally and what we're hearing in the market, that sellers are potentially looking to come to market in the near term. So supply is a big part. But if you've got an abundance of people who are willing, or companies rather, that are willing to sell, if you don't have capital to bring those deals together, it's really hard to do something. We've been in a dynamic where I think over the last couple of quarters, the capital's been there, but it's just been incredibly expensive, almost prohibitively so. So with rates potentially coming down, hopefully we continue to see credit markets stay thawed out and have availability of capital. And as that capital price comes down, that helps support the valuation market. And so the Venn diagram between buyers and sellers, there's more overlap, and that unlocks M&A. I personally, and again, we'll see here 12 months from now if we can reconnect. But I think that we're going to see a real acceleration. I'm hoping we see a real acceleration. There's a ton of things for us to go do, over the next 4 to 6 quarters. And I think that being able to drive some more velocity in the market will be good for all parties.
When talking about valuation of an organization, especially in the software and even the consulting space, the services space, are you seeing any key differences between valuations for companies that are what I'll call fee for service or product for service versus those that are subscription based?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's always going to be a premium in any market environment for companies that are going to have longer term visibility around revenues, and that's the brilliance of the subscription model. And by the way, software is not the only industry or vertical where subscriptions. We see this in the consumer side with things like Netflix and others. But in the software side, the subscription has really been transformative and revolutionary. I mean, a decade plus ago with on-prem software, you bought a license, you had that for 5, 10, 15 years. There was some reoccurring revenue associated with maintenance and services, but it paled in comparison to the size of the license. By having a subscription-based business, what you're effectively telling, and again, from a valuation perspective, you're telling a potential investor and or buyer that not only do we know where we were a year ago, not only do we know where we are today, but we have a very high degree of fidelity around where we're going to be 12 months, 24 months, and potentially even 36 months from now. LeaseQuery is a great example of this. Many of our customers sign up on 2, 3+ year agreements. So I can already tell with a degree of confidence where I'm going to land in 2024 because I know what percentage of my customers are contracted through 2024, many of which, by the way, are contracted through 2025. When a business is selling a product or a non-reoccurring service, what you really have to then look into is, what number of customers historically, have, purchased products or services on a reoccurring basis, and what's the lifetime of customers. But you've got to infer a lot of things about things that have happened in the past and hope that they occur in the future without a contract stipulating that they have to. So I just think anytime you can provide an investor with assurance, anytime you can effectively have a crystal ball and show somebody where the future is going to be, that's a powerful thing, and people pay up for it.
And Justin, we have an exit question we ask all of our guests, and that is, who is a hero of yours and why are they a hero?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. So I've got two. The first one is, so I'll say my mom is probably is gonna check the box first and foremost, because I've never met a more positive and optimistic person, irrespective of what's happening in life. And I think that having those traits makes life better, makes life easier, and makes it easier for other people to work with you, and makes it easier to work with other people. But on a I'd say, stepping back and from more of just kind of a personal sense, there's an individual who I've listened to on podcasts for years. His name's Rich Roll. He's a guy who has just had, I think, a phenomenal career. Started out going down, working for a professional services firm, and then in his mid 40s, kind of, close to the age that I'm at right now, kind of did a hard pivot and restarted a career on the personal development side. And I think he's just incredibly thoughtful and introspective, and has achieved a lot of, incredibly impressive goals. And so he's somebody who, again, I listen to, and I give a lot of credence to the advice and perspective that he shares.
Lastly, Justin, how can somebody contact you?
Super easy to reach. So if anybody has any questions or wants to connect, or there's opportunities to work with LeaseQuery, don't hesitate to reach out. So my email, pretty simple, is justin.smith@leasequery.com. I'm also pretty visible across LinkedIn. So just look at Justin Smith and LeaseQuery, and I should pop up pretty easily for you.
All right. Justin Smith, Chief Financial Officer of LeaseQuery, thanks so much for being a guest on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Thanks, Ed.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.